you can talk to the audience.
Well, hello, all of you, absolutely wonderful women on this International Women's Day. Everybody is talking about celebrating International Women's Day, but lots of us hardly see this as a great day to celebrate. Rather, it's a great day to acknowledge and recognize all the millions of women and girls who are being increasingly left behind. I echo everything that wonderful Julie Ward had said, so I don't really want to repeat everything she said. But let's say that what we can celebrate today, and maybe that's the only good thing that has come out of the pandemic and the lockdowns, is that we can all be together on many, many Zooms. We don't have to try and get a visa to Trump's United States and be refused, get on a plane, spend a bomb on a hotel to try and get to the UN, because we are all talking to each other in a way we've never talked before, all over the world. Let us celebrate the great solidarity and the strength of women everywhere. And also let's celebrate those serious men, as Mary Robinson said, in every country, there are serious men who understand that you cannot have a free, just and democratic society unless you have gender equality and women's empowerment at the center of it. That's one thing. But why I'm so honored, humbled, and grateful to be talking to you all today is that Kashmir, beautiful, wonderful Kashmir, wonderful, brave Kashmiri women and men, you are the most militarized zone anywhere in the world. There are more Indian soldiers per capita than anywhere else in the world. You have been the victims of the most appalling human rights violations, and the world and the UN seems to be silent. What India did, was it last August, when it broke its own constitution and went in and broke its international obligations for the autonomy of Kashmir, is an outrage. And unfortunately, the UN, it seems to be in paralysis. And what is more, I'm talking to you now from London in the UK. I'm even appalled. Forget the Tory government, which is because of Brexit will sell arms to India or any other country, authoritarian regimes which are racist and misogynist. But even I'm afraid the Labour Party refused to really condemn India and said it was a domestic matter between India and Pakistan. That's not good enough. Absolutely appalling war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide is going on in Kashmir. And let's not forget, under Modi's authoritarian rule, Muslims in India are also victims of the most appalling persecutions, murders, taking away their citizenship. But Kashmir, unbelievable what is going on, and how, I'm afraid, in so many conflicts across the world, women are being targeted, men are being disappeared, killed, tortured, or taken away to prison, and women are being raped, gang raped in remote rural villages. They don't even know, and many of them are what we called half widows, women whose menfolk, husbands, sons, fathers, women suddenly, their men disappeared. They were out working in the fields. They were taken from inside their houses. They were walking along a street and they disappeared. And these women cannot even find out what happened to them. And what is extraordinary, I speak now as a lawyer, that India is one of the few countries that actually signed up and ratified the International Convention, which actually protects the rights of the people who are victims of forced disappearances. And under that convention, every country that signs it has to keep an open list of all the people it has in prison. So that at least the people whose loved ones have disappeared can go and find out, are there men in prison or are they in some mass grave somewhere? I talk to you not just as an international lawyer working on women's rights, but because I also am the founder, president, once director of the international organization Widows for Peace Through Democracy. And we are having our own event at the upcoming Commission on the Status of Women. Go into our website, www.widowsforpeace.org, and you can come onto our event on March the 17th, when we do have somebody speaking about what is happening in Kashmir, Shasti. So this is an opportunity at the CSW to speak about the women of Kashmir. But the trouble is that even with our partners, some of our partners are saying, well, you can't talk about Kashmir because it's not a country, it's part of India. So we even have this problem with our own partners in India because they say you can't talk about Kashmir on its own. The Indian government, I think it was last year, and I only heard about that when I was honored to be part of a beautiful, moving, memorable film called War Cries in Paradise. And there I heard that the Indian government had passed legislation, I think at the end of last year, called the Armed Forces Empowerment Act, which said that no soldier in no Indian soldier will ever be made accountable for any acts that he did when he's in uniform. And there's also an undercurrent in which Indian soldiers are almost encouraged to demoralize the population by targeting women for rape, gang rape, and sexual torture. The terrible thing is, on top of all of this, we have all these widows, but this is not just in the last years. This has been going on for 30 years. All this time, there are more and more women who are widowed, trying to survive poverty and terrible hardships and vulnerability to violence, trying to educate their children, trying to keep their girls in school. We know how important it is. If we want the empowerment of women, we want girls to be able to stay at school. And the terrible thing is that if widows who have absolutely nothing, no support, no resources, if they have to choose who they will take out of school, who do they choose? Who do they choose? They choose the girl child. So whatever is happening all over the world where there are conflicts, what happens? Rape is now a weapon of war. And in conflicts, you kill the men and boys, and you rape the women and girls, take them into sexual slavery, destroy them, absolutely destroy even the moral. It's a way of actually a genocide which actually demoralizes the population that you are trying to oppress. And therefore, there's an increase. I don't know about Kashmir, but in many of the countries I work in, there's now particularly because of COVID and lockdowns, there was more and more girls coming out of school into child marriage. And that is a terrible thing, because they're often married to much older men and they become child widows. What can we do? What can we do? Well, every month, the Security Council, I think you have to be members of, have ECOSOC status, but all of you can come under our wing, Widows for Peace Through Democracy, and you can register under us if you don't have ECOSOC status, because every month, the Security Council has a meeting. No, the president changes every month. It was a UK last month, this month it's America, so on. And every month in the Women, Peace and Security framework, we ask the Security Council, why are they not prioritizing widowhood issues in the Women, Peace and Security? Because if you'll never have any beginnings of any sort of peace dialogue unless you ensure that widows' voices are heard. And so we're asking for that, and that's something that you can do as well. You can join that meeting. The terrible thing is we're talking about the paralysis now of the UN. Again and again over Kashmir, the UN is asking again and again for Pakistan and India to come together and sit at the table in the dialogue. But they don't even mention the women. It's the women in every country. I'm sure that there are women in India whose husbands are in the army, who also are terribly, there must be women in India who also need to come together with you. There must be widows of the military in India who surely, it seems to me that women in their solidarity, whatever faction you're in, wherever you are, women want peace. I think the problem is, why is no one condemning India? Why is my own government silent? Unfortunately, in the UK, we've got the added problem, and you know what I'm going to tell you about, it's Brexit. Brexit. And therefore, that has made the UK extremely desperate now to sell arms and to make trade deals. And India is where they want to trade. So they are absolutely silent about India. They do not want to antagonize the Modi government. And the Modi government is a fascist government. It's a misogynist government and it's a racist government. And so in my own country, we keep speaking about this with our own government and with our Labour government to come out and condemn India for all the terrible things that it is doing in Kashmir. I mean, I'm extremely grateful to Julie Ward and to Shamin Shaul and to you as well, Professor, for inviting me here, because I think that it's in Kashmir that that word half widows was first coined. And I have picked it up and I speak now all the time, not just about the widows, but about the half widows who are wives of the forcibly disappeared. And also we know that in Kashmir, many, many people, particularly lawyers and politicians, musicians, the intellectuals, the brains of Kashmir, so many of these men have been taken away, far away to prison in India. But a lot of these women don't even know whether their menfolk are in prison or are they dead. WPD, Widows for Peace to Democracy, is launching on March the 17th at the Commission on the Status of Women and for CEDAW, that's the Committee of the UN Convention on all forms of discrimination against women, its dossier on discrimination. And we have got, that's a completely open dossier. So all of you, remember, go into our website and give us continually actual cases and names of cases where you can say this is a form of discrimination which is in breach of the CEDAW. And India has signed up to the CEDAW. So there you've got it. And it's really important because actually even refusing information to the half-widows is itself a form of discrimination, the denial of information. Everybody has a right to information. So I want to see in Kashmir, I don't know if it exists, forgive my ignorance, but widows need to have their own voice. Widows must never be seen solely as exclusively as victims of violence and marginalization. You've got to, we need to support and recognize their key social and economic roles they have as unsupported mothers looking after people. So please, please send us, when you have a really good case, names, dates, everything, open up that dossier. But I want to see in Kashmir an association of Kashmiri widows and half-widows that could then become our partners. And wherever we can, we will try and give you a voice at the international. So we won't despair. We celebrate the solidarity of women, but we also are very conscious that we've got to fight even harder and together so that there's no pushback on the progress that is made on paper. We need the actual enforcement and implementation of the Beijing Platform for Action and the UN Convention on Elimination of Discrimination, and also all the UN 1325 Security Council resolutions about eliminating sexual violence in conflict. Thank you. I probably haven't been as eloquent as Julie Ward has been, but it's wonderful to see you all, and congratulations. And I have to tell you that years ago, I'm very old now, on my honeymoon, I did come to Kashmir in Srinagar. It was absolutely beautiful. And I long to come to your beautiful country again and to meet you all in peace. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, ma'am.